What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. We're about an hour away from kickoff here in Seattle, and we've got some last-minute game notes. Thought I'd go ahead and go over it real quick here because, I mean, every little bit matters in a game like this. I think we all kind of expect this game to be close. I think we all anticipate this is going to be a game that comes down to one or two plays. So therefore, it may very well come down to one or two players. So let's go over a couple of things that we've learned in the last couple of hours and just get a feel for exactly what we're going to be dealing with. So first, some roster news for the Seahawks here. And this one's interesting because it's beyond the scope of just this one game. The Seahawks, per Greg Bell, have activated wide receiver Derek Young off injured reserve. He's been practicing for a couple weeks now. There wasn't any indication to me that he's been unable to play for a little while now, but we just didn't need him. Well, now we've decided that we need him, or at least that we want him. He is active. Before we go any further into this video, I want to tell you guys a little bit about my friends over at Sleeper. If you're not using the Sleeper app for daily fantasy football, you are missing out. Get over there. Check out the left side of your screen right now. I've got the app up. Look at all this great stuff you can get up to. Look at all the over-unders you can pick on. I've got an entry for this week. Let's take a look. I got Mike Evans over 60 yards. You know they're going to be throwing him the ball a lot. I got Keenan Allen over 36 yards. You know that he's going to want to try to cash in a little bit here against a weak Dallas defense. Jamar Chase with the anytime touchdown on Miami, and J.J. McCarthy under 189 passing yards. So get on over to Sleeper. You can put together a ticket just like this. Use the promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions do apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Check it out. Put together your own ticket and have some fun with sports. Back to the video. Okay, so Derek Young was doing a good job returning kicks before he got hurt. Obviously, we don't really need that now, but he is a depth receiver on this team, and this move has come in conjunction with one other thing that just happened a couple of minutes ago. This from Dugar, the Seahawks inactive list came out, and for the most part, it's not super compelling. We knew Charles Cross was going to be out for this game. The only thing other than what I'm about to talk about that's kind of notable is Brandon Peely is inactive, probably because of Riley Mills. They've decided to give Mills that spot. But Jake Bobo is inactive this week. So it's pretty clear what's going on here. This team had to make a decision. Do they want to have Derek Young available, or do they want to have Jake Bobo available? And they chose Derek Young. So Young is, I guess, wide receiver 5, maybe? Something like that. I guess you could say maybe he's wide receiver 4. Obviously, when you're talking about things like that, it's more situational rather than who is actually the more valued player. But the team has chosen Derek Young as being more valuable than Bobo, and I do agree with them. I think that's a... Sorry about that, guys. I do think that's a pretty easy and obvious decision to make. I don't know if the microphone picked it up. My dogs just absolutely lost their mind, so I just absolutely had to get distracted there. But anyway, yeah, Derek Young is active, so he is back. Good news there. And we have one more injured reserve to return move left this season. We've already kind of talked about how we actually have more injured players coming back from IR, or at least eligible to come back from IR, than we have available spots. So somebody's going to get left behind. I've already theorized it's probably going to be somebody like Surratt, but shouldn't be too big of a deal. By the way, Derek Young is up, so D'Anthony Bell had to go to make room for him. So D'Anthony Bell was waived a couple of days ago. He made it back to the practice squad, so he's still here. He's just not going to be part of the 53-man roster for the time being. So that's the Derek Young stuff. Speaking of practice squad, though, Cam Akers, maybe a revenge game for him against his former team, running back, elevated from the practice squad. And also we have a backup tackle, Amari Kite, elevated. Did a little bit of work in the preseason, and it makes a lot of sense that he would want an extra tackle when Charles Cross is out. And like I said, first of all, the backup kind of inexperienced, unreliable offensive lineman we have on the team, Bryce Cabledew, Mason Richmond, not really tackles. I know they both played tackle in college, but they're not pro tackles, and we all know it. So, makes sense. All right, so just wanted to go over that real quick. Nothing too shocking here. Welcome back, Derek, though. Happy to have him. Always like that guy. And the other notable thing on the inactive list here would be Brandon Peely. Brandon Peely is going to be unavailable. Not injured. We just have decided to give that opportunity to Riley Mills. Now, I do think that big picture, Riley Mills offers more than Peely. The problem is, I look at Riley Mills and then I look at the Rams and I think about what the Rams like to do. They have a very big, heavy offensive line. They like to run the ball between the tackles. They like to run the ball on the inside. And then I look at Riley Mills, who's like 290 pounds and really tall and clearly meant to rush the passer in this league. So I think that you take a look at that and you're like, I might rather have Peely, who's closer to a true nose tackle. In most games, absolutely. In most games, absolutely, you'd rather have Mills because he's a much better pass rusher. He's actually got the ability to get to the quarterback. But this Rams team, especially tonight when the weather's going to be bad, there is a part of me that wonders if maybe, just maybe, Healy would have been a little bit more valuable because you need to stop the run and you need to go up against a pretty oversized offensive line with a more power running game. But it's not going to make a huge difference either way. There's very little to go around after you get past Reed, Big Cat, and Murphy. But there it is. Meanwhile, we got some last minute news from the Rams side of things. We got some inactives. And there are a couple of notable things here. Obviously, Davante Adams is the thing that jumps out to you, right? Davante Adams out for this game. There was some talk about trying to get him to go, but they very smartly decided to just throw in the towel on that. The other interesting thing here would be Ahkello Witherspoon. Not only is he inactive, but supposedly he's healthy. And he was inactive last week as well, despite being healthy. So for a guy who, as recently as last season, was considered the Rams' probably best cornerback, he's now not even really part of that team. And part of that is because they've gotten some pretty decent play out of guys like Forbes and Durant. But it also does really illustrate how absolutely volatile these non-superstar players can be. But kind of surprised to me that he fell off so hard. Again, last year this was a big part of their defense. That's really about it. Although one of the names that isn't here is very notable. Braden Fisk is not out. He is active. He's going to give it a go, even though he did not practice this week, which you don't see that often. Would not shock me if he goes out there for a few plays and then kind of has to throw in the towel, but we'll see. It was a short week, and there is some precedence to defensive linemen being able to play without practice. I think that we had a game last year where Leonard Williams didn't practice all week, and then he went out there and had the best game of his season, one of the best games of his career. Now, Leonard Williams, longtime NFL veteran, Braden Fisk, not so much, but notable. Also, one thing that I didn't really talk about very much this week that I probably should have, because this is injured reserve stuff we're talking about here, and it's easy to forget this stuff. The Rams do actually have two, I'd go so far as calling them starters on injured reserve right now, with Rob Havenstein at right tackle and Tyler Higbee at tight end. Both those guys are out and unavailable. I kind of forgot about that almost because, again, when a guy goes on an IR, it's easy to forget that he exists when he's not on your favorite team. Okay, I'm going to go and get out of here. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Next video should be after the game. Check me out on Bleacher Report right after the game. See you guys. Let's go.